1994 has been a miserable, almost disastrous season for Kevin Schwantz. Having lost his #1 plate at the previous race, the Texan arrived at Laguna Seca hoping to win his home Grand Prix despite the appalling difficulties caused by his damaged left hand, but it was not to be. Another fall and another injury. Kevin Schwantz dislocated his left hip tumbling along the track just after the notorious corkscrew and was taken to hospital where it was replaced under general anaesthetic. But typically Schwantz was back at the track the same evening wearing a leg brace and propping himself up on crutches, out of action for the rest of the season but already planning his campaign to lift the title in 1995.
The operation I'm going to need on my left wrist is going to take probably 12 weeks. So we're looking at the first to the middle part of December. I'd like to think that I can have a test in before Christmas. I'd like to think that I'll be back 100% fit by then. But if we're not, what we'll do is we'll schedule a couple of more tests in January and February and try and get ready for that first Grand Prix in March by missing out on what we missed out on.
But being the president's daughter did the trick and brought that certain kind of smile to the Schwantz face. Another reason he was laughing was because he was under no pressure. Officially on the sick list, he was understudied by Britain's Sean Emmett. Alex Barros thus had a new teammate and a new crew chief. He worked with Stuart Shenton. Hamish Jameson looked after the new boy. Under who knows what kind of pressure, Emmett stayed up, improved and rode to a place on row 3, helped by one of the world's top tutors.
You know that last corner, you go in on the brakes, you make the turn, and then you come out and come across that bump. Mick's going in, and then he's gassing it, running it way out wide, right over that big pile of dust, and turning. So then because the groove runs kind of like this, and the line goes like this, when you hit that, it looks like everybody that's not running out wide is taking a little longer to change direction. It looks like it's just moving the bike that little bit, and then it's taking you a little more effort.
Beattie's teammate, on the other hand, was not so happy. Things just didn't go right for Kevin Schwantz, and it took a lot of grit and determination to keep going. Kevin had very little track time since the painful end of last season, and his confidence was destined to take a knock early in the proceedings. This is how Kevin crashed on Friday, a graceful departure from the bike that left him uninjured but unhappy. Schwantz finished the first day down in 7th place on the leaderboard. He got stuck in on Saturday, chopping more than half a second off his previous best to climb to 5th fastest. He missed out on a place on the front row of the grid by a little more than 1/10 of a second. But Kevin's troubles were still not over. In Sunday's morning's warm-up, a mechanical...
I've decided to stop racing for a couple of different reasons. It's medical reasons, namely probably the biggest reason is just my heart's not in it anymore. If I in the past when I've been out racing, I've always really been excited about getting on the bike. I really wanted to go out there and race. And since I got hurt last year in the surgery that I had after Laguna Seca, the excitement just hadn't been there.
So Kevin Schwantz back in the Lucky Strike pits, but now no longer as a rider. For the rest of this season, he plans to help Darrell Beattie and newcomer Scott Russell with hints and tips, ride the bike in test and development outings, and even do some television work. Schwantz with the luxury of retirement. Scott Russell, the 1993 Superbike World Champion, the big-name replacement picked by Lucky Strike to try to replace Schwantz in their Grand Prix squad. A tough task for anyone. But the 30-year-old American's task made even more difficult by the fact that contractual complications prevented him riding the Lucky Strike Suzuki at all on the first day of qualifying, Friday. It wasn't until Saturday that he was able to get out on the racetrack. And when he did get out, Schwantz was out there on the track to watch Scott in action and pass on whatever help he could. Russell determined not to fall off, but going quicker and quicker each time he went out. This was Scott's first ever ride on a 500cc two-stroke, and he made steady progress, taking almost a full second off his best lap in the free practice during Saturday's qualifying session, where he set 13th best time.